Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to a very special Tuesday edition of It's Wrestling Time. It is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, and tonight I'll be talking about NXT New Year's Evil, but I'm not alone. Joining me for this is the Renegade himself, JJ Williams.
How's it going, Datila? Good to be with you today on your own show.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Thank you so much for helping me out on this. Now, this should be interesting because, as you know, and as everybody who watches my reviews knows, I don't watch NXT.
Yes, I know. I've heard you mention multiple times how I don't watch NXT. I'm not going to be covering it. Now here you are. It's a new year, and you're talking about NXT. Look, Chit Chat Gaming is chanting for NXT.
NXT, yeah, exactly. You know how many times people have been trying to get me to watch NXT? I had so many people were like, "Oh, you should watch NXT," but same way I say y'all shouldn't sleep on TNA wrestling. Okay, goes both ways.
I know, and am I not going to tune in to the premiere episode after Hard to Kill and give it a chance? Have I not given you my word on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
a man of my word.
I believe you, even though you don't believe in Joe Henry, but that's a different story.
Hey, we're not talking about Joe Henry tonight. We're talking about NXT, my NXT, damn it.
This is the renegade of his NXT, damn it, joining Datila. I thought the world ended technically this far away. Okay, so let's kick things off talking about this NXT Women's Championship matches. Lyra Valkyria versus their Blair Davenport. I have to say, Lyra Valkyria sounds a lot like Taya Valkyrie here. So I don't know if that was just a coincidence or if that was done on purpose here.
You know what? I've heard you say that a few times. And when I first heard the name, that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, this is their way of taking a dig at Taya Valkyrie because I know she used to perform in NXT. I forget her gimmick name there because I wasn't watching at that point.
I think it was Frankie Monet.
Yeah, there you go. But that's the first thing I thought too, was Taya Valkyrie, Lyra Valkyria. But Lyra, transplant from NXT UK. She came over to NXT, I want to say maybe about a year ago. And she's just been scratching and clawing. Same thing with Blair Davenport. She came in a little over a year ago. Mandy Rose, Maiko Satomura, and Blair Davenport had a match to unify the NXT UK and NXT Women's Championship, and Blair was in that match. And she's just been this beast. You might know her better as Bea Priestley.
Yeah.
I know she did some work in AEW a little bit in their initial first year before coming to NXT UK, but this was a hell of a match. Like, I think they saw what Becky Lynch and Nia Jax did to open up Raw last night, and they were like, we have to top that. Mm-hmm. And Shawn Michaels had faith in them, and I think they really delivered here.
Let's see. Jeff says, as long as Joe Henry believes in me, JJ's bound to come around.
Hey, and we know he did. Anybody that watched the New Year's Eve open mic night saw Joe Henry serenade you and Noah.
Yeah, that was awesome. A moment I'll never forget. All right, so I have to agree with you. This was a really great opening match, and it totally slipped my mind that this is probably a response to Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax. Now, I could tell that the crowd was super behind Lyra Valkyria here, and for a good reason. She's actually pretty good. This is like the first time I see her wrestle. I know she had a match with Becky Lynch, but I didn't watch that. So this is the first time. This is me first time being exposed to her, and I actually really thought she's a really great. So I can see why the crowd was super behind her.
Yeah, and I know you were asking yesterday for a match for Ivy Nile. The two of them competed earlier this year to see who was going to get into the ladder match at Stand and Deliver for the women's title, which Indy Hartwell ended up winning. So getting to see those two go back, if you can find that match. You see Lyra Valkyria, who had a match with Becky Lynch last year late, and you get to see Ivy Nile, who's on the main roster now. It's a perfect way to check both of them out.
Okay, I definitely gotta look for that match. So at the end, Lyra here is successful here. She successfully retained. At the end, you had Lola Vice come out. Is that contract like their version of Money in the Bank or something? Because she was like trying to
Yes,
cash in. I was a little
yes.
confused about that.
Late last year, they had the women's breakout tournament, and then we had the finals for the men's tonight. And the whole gimmick of the breakout tournament is the winner gets a title shot anytime, anywhere they want it. So Lola Vice was trying to bring her contract down and cash it in, because even though Lyra retained, we saw Blair Davenport beat the piss out of Lyra. So she would have been very easy pickings had Tatum Paxley, who seems to have this fixation on Lyra, not come out to spoil the fun.
Yes. Speaking of that girl, what's her name?
Tatum Paxley.
Peyton Paxley. Yeah, there was a segment later on in the night where she kind of was like Lyra was sitting down, and then she approached her and was like, "Oh, as long as you're champion, all is right." So yeah, there's a little something going on there.
It
So
definitely gives me like creepy Mickey James stalker vibes when she was
yeah,
stalking Trish Stratus and like the Uber fan.
yeah, I get those vibes too.
There was a segment a couple weeks ago where they opened up Lyra's locker, and there was a picture of her and Becky from their match with her arm raised, and Tatum had put her face over Becky's face.
Oh, okay,
So
that's
it
a
looked
little
like Tatum Paxley was raising Lyra's arm.
yeah. So like, there's a brother breaks out between Electra Lopez. I had to catch myself because now I end up calling her Electra Nachos or something from like Daredevil. I don't know if you were on my stream when I called Joaquin Phoenix, and when I called
I
Bret
heard
Hart,
that.
Bret Michaels.
I heard both of those, yes, and I chuckled immensely over that.
All right, so I have to catch myself. Electra Lopez,
Yes.
and like a brawl breaks out between these four women. So do you think maybe we'll, I don't know, get like a tag team match player out of this or something?
Probably. I don't know if we'll get it next week. They seem to be starting the Dusty Classic, which I'm sure you'll touch on in a moment. They have the Cora Jade match that was set up. They've got a few things already kind of lined up for next week, but I could definitely see a slow build to this. Maybe Vengeance Day, maybe the go home to Vengeance Day if they don't feel it's PLE worthy.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I will check out Vengeance Day. I don't know yet. It's depending on what I got
Vengeance Day
going
is
on.
going to be a PLE. You did tell me in the private chat that you were going to check out the PLEs. So.
I said I would try. Emphasis on the word try.
I mean, if nothing else, you can go about your day listening to me and know it, call it on your phone or something.
Jeff says, for reference, Joaquin Wild was Sema Ion and DJZ in TNA Impact Wrestling. I wasn't watching TNA Impact Wrestling at that time, but I've heard of that.
Yeah, Zima Ion.
So we get a 6-man tag match. Is North Quarter Catch Crew versus the LWO, and replacing Dragon Lee was Carlito in this match. I honestly really enjoyed this match. I thought this was a really fun match. Joaquin Wild with that when he took everybody out on the outside. Holy smokes, that was a really fun spot. This match was great. Yeah, that was an insane match. I actually really enjoyed it.
It was fun to call that spot because me and Noah are sitting there watching it, and then we saw Carlito and Cruz del Toyo just kind of jerk the middle rope and catapult him. We were like, holy shit, look at the air that he got there, you know?
Yeah, this was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I have to say, if I had to pick a favorite match, it had to have been this one. The only thing in this, like, I'm not familiar with No Quarter Catch Crew. So that kind of hindered me a little bit because I was trying to enjoy, but I'm like, who are these two guys? I know who Drew Gulak obviously is. So I had to Google them mid-match. I'm like, who are these two guys?
Well, Damon Kemp for a while was running with the Diamond Mind, which was the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, but he betrayed them late last year. And then the Miles Bourne guy was part of the Breakout tournament, but he lost his opening round match to Obafemi, who was in the finals tonight.
Mhm.
The fourth member of No Quarter Catch crew is Charlie Dempsey, who is the son of William Regal, but he's off in Japan. He had a match either today or tomorrow for All Japan, I think. Jeff can, or there it is. Charlie Dempsey's in Japan Wrestling, and he's part of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's
Okay.
All Japan or Pro Wrestling in Noah, whatever it is, but
All
he's doing a
Japan.
show.
All Japan. They legit slingshot him into the out. Yeah, they did. Like that was a really cool spot. That was my favorite spot in this match.
But Charlie
But
Dempsey is definitely one to pay attention to when you watch, if you watch more. He's just like his dad in the ring. He's just like William Regal.
okay. Let's see. He says today with All Japan. Okay, All Japan. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the Dusty Tag Team Classic? Because
Yeah, we
not that
had
I didn't
Ava
expect it.
Rain. We had Ava Rain leave Shawn Michaels' office, and for those that don't know, Ava Rain is the daughter of The Rock, Simone Johnson. She was formerly with the Schism, Joe Gacy, and the Grizzled Young Vets. Obviously, that faction fell apart when the Grizzled Young Vets left NXT. Their contract expired. And so they've just kind of had her be this liaison to the women's locker room to kind of keep her on TV, let her work on her mic skills and everything, because she wasn't great in the ring. She definitely needs more seasoning before getting more matches. And this still keeps her prominent. And the main thing was is that she announced the Dusty Tag Team Classic, where it's basically just going to be a tag team tournament, but it's done in honor of the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, who was integral in the inception of FCW and Noah's NXT, the old black and gold brand.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did catch the segment, but like I was a little distracted, so I didn't catch exactly what she said. I just remember something about the Dusty Classic.
Well, she did also reference talking to a wise man a couple of months ago, and that goes back to the Tuesday Night War episode where Paul Heyman, John Cena, Undertaker all showed up. And of course, that alludes to the fact that Heyman leads the bloodline and she's the Rock's daughter, so she is part of the bloodline, just not on TV officially. So Heyman still keeping touch on prospective future members of the bloodline down in NXT by that just mere mention of a conversation with the wise man.
Yeah. Let's see. Chit Chat says, gotta head to bed. I'll tune in to TNA this week. I think from the way things sound, we'll be seeing TNA Daily crossover here soon. Oh, I hope you have a great night, Chit Chat. Yeah, a lot of speculation seems to be that they're doing TNA and working together. That has yet to be confirmed. Everybody's just making these assumptions, but we have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So we get the first of two Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes segments. And this first one, like, it ends up being that Carmelo Hayes puts him in a match against Greyson Waller, and has Trick Williams put his number one contendership on the line here. And then in the second one, which is like before the main event, a little bit before the main event, he tells him that he like starts questioning him as like how can he put his opportunity on the line, and just Carmelo reinforces him that he's going to be the one to be Elias Dragunov,
Mm-hmm.
and like Trick Williams is like no, he wants to do this by himself. So it seems to me like I know that they used to be like I guess like a tag team or something, and like there seems to be some kind of like tension there.
Dissension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Carmelo was the North American champion and making his way to the NXT title, Trick was basically, kind of like Greyson clowned him. He was his valet. He was his second. He was his heavy. Trick Williams was Diesel to Carmelo's Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, Trick became more and more prominent. And once Melo lost the title to Ilya, Carmelo kind of faded back to the background. And the
Okay.
popularity kind of changed. Trick kind of hit this hot streak, and the fans are like totally behind him now. And Melo's kind of getting jealous about that. He's not the one in the spotlight anymore. I've noticed that Shawn Michaels, as Booker of NXT, likes to play into some of the storylines that he used to be involved in back in the day. You know, when Gigi Dolan and JC Jane split as part of Toxic Attraction, one of them got thrown into a door, a la the barbershop window. Roxanne Perez collapsed one night after a match against Maiko Santamora, kind of like when Shawn Michaels collapsed in the ring. I want to say it was after a match against Owen Hart at a house show, I think it was. And now here you've got this. You've got the jealousy a la Triple H Shawn Michaels, a la Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels. You know, who attacked Trick Williams? You know, who attacked Shawn Michaels in the parking lot? It was Triple H going into SummerSlam 02. You know, it's kind of got these little callback vibes to his old angles back in the day.
Oh, okay. Okay. I feel you. Now that you pointed that out, it makes sense. We get a Riley Osborne segment. This is a segment where he's talking about how this is the biggest match of his life. And he names some of the European superstars like Finn Balor, William Regal, Fit Finlay. So I don't know much about Riley Osborne again. Like, this is my first time ever seeing him and stuff like that. So, like, so what do I need to know about Riley Osborne here?
Well, as far as this particular episode goes, I personally am still learning about Riley Osborne, Obafemi, and Miles Bourne, who's part of the No Quarter Catch crew, because they were all in the Breakout tournament. So they haven't had a whole lot of TV exposure yet. Just a couple of matches over the last month, maybe month and a half. But Riley Osborne is a student in Chase U.
Chase U, okay.
And, you know, Thea Hale, kind of the Spirit Squad cheerleader of Chase U's, got a crush on him. Has ever since he showed up in the classroom one day. So there's this innocent little schoolgirl crush going between the two of them. Arlene pointed out in the chat during our watch-along coverage about, wouldn't it be great if, while Thea is pining for Riley, Riley actually has eyes for JC.
Like a love triangle?
And him wanting JC instead of wanting her is what sends Thea over the edge, because she was teasing a little bit of a dark turn before kind of turning back around now that JC is molded more into the Chase U fold than the toxic JC that she was before. You know, but Riley Osborne, very much a high flyer, a speed agility type of guy from what he's shown through the tournament so far. Going to be interesting to see what him and Duke Hudson, the big tall man from Chase U, do as part of the Dusty Classic, because we had a segment backstage later on where JC kind of kicked Andre out of the Dusty Classic because he's got to focus on Chase U. There's a whole storyline where Chase U is in debt, and Andre Chase has kind of got Chase U on the brink of bankruptcy and stuff. And so since he can't multitask, he's being taken out, and Riley's been put in his spot for the Dusty Classic, teaming up with the big man. So now you're going to have like that classic high flyer strongman tag team dynamic that's worked so well in the past. Again, Shawn Michaels, Diesel. You think about Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart. You know, Owen and the Bulldog. Like, that juxtaposition always works really well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does work. It works really well. So we got Ariana Grace versus Roxanne Perez. Now, I'm familiar with Roxanne Perez when she was Roxy. I mean, how could I not be? She challenged Diana Perazzo, and Diana became a champ after she beat her. So how could I not be familiar with Roxy? You know, and she's been on the main roster before, so I already know what Roxanne Perez can do. I've never seen Ariana Grace. So again, this is my first time seeing a lot of these wrestlers tonight. I thought this was a pretty decent match. You know, I thought both ladies killed it. They're kind of teasing like some type of I guess like crazy. You know, my Wi-Fi is going out.
Okay.
Yeah, so because like she originally won the match, but then when the ref was like, um, yelling at her because Ariana Grace yelled at her and said she has issues and needs help, she attacked and the ref is like trying to like break it up. The referee reversed the decision, so Ariana Grace um ended up winning after all.
Yeah, Roxy for the last like we'll say about 6 months or so has kind of been on this, we won't call it a dark path, but this edgier path where she's still the bubbly Roxy that we know and love, but she's kind of tired of people taking her kindness for weakness. And when she feels like she's being taken advantage of, she's willing to go a little bit further than maybe we're used to seeing her go in order to take advantage of the situation and win. And I think that's just what happened here. Now, you may not be familiar with Ariana Grace, but I believe you're familiar with her father, as you see him quite regularly on Impact Wrestling, one Santino Marella.
That's her. Oh, that's his daughter. I didn't know that was his daughter. Yeah,
Hence the
absolutely
pageant
familiar.
gimmick a la Santina Marella.
Oh yeah, that now it makes sense. Oh,
It's also
I
part of
didn't
why
know.
she's not taken so seriously in the ring, because you think of Santino and you think of a comedy wrestler.
Yeah,
So she can take that edge because you're not going to take her seriously with the pageant gimmick. You're going to think her dad, you're going to think, oh, she can't go. So when she goes with the likes of Roxy like she did, people are like, oh, I need to not take her so lightly.
yeah. I was like, why does she have a pageant gimmick? I'm like, okay,
She's
like
Miss
she was over there.
NXT.
She's like doing her Miss NXT wave, like
Hmm?
so. But yeah, no, she's pretty cool though. Impressed me. We get like a quick segment with Nikita Lyons and Blair Davenport. I'm not sure what that was about here. If you can fill in the blanks.
Long and the short of it is earlier this past year, Blair Davenport, under a hood, started attacking a lot of the women on the roster. She took out Nikita Lyons. She took out Wendy Chu. She took out Roxanne. She may have taken out a couple others, but those are the most notable names. And Nikita just got back, and ever since Roxy unhooded the assailant and exposed it to be Blair, Nikita now wants revenge because Blair took her out and she missed almost a year of action.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Came back a few
So I
weeks ago and she gave a spin kick to Blair on the entrance ramp, which is something she referenced in her promo. Damn near kicked her head off.
oh wow.
Like she laid her out that good.
Wow. So I feel like maybe there's this gonna lead to a match, probably. So at somewhere
Again,
down
I'm
the road.
hoping Vengeance Day. That seems like it would fit, the title of a show like that, Vengeance Day.
Yeah.
She wants her revenge, her vengeance.
Now that makes a lot of sense. So we had a loser becomes a winner servant or ranch hand match. It was Fallon Henley versus Tiffany Straton. So I don't know much about Fallon, but I do know a little bit about Tiffany. She's like this super girly rich girl gimmick. I actually like her gimmick,
She's
Actually it's kind
basically a human Barbie doll.
yeah.
I honestly think that's a lot of the reason why they gave her the title when Indy Hartwell had to surrender it due to her roster call up and injury, because the Barbie movie was about to come out. She's like this living Barbie doll, so kind of indirectly got some publicity there with that. But Tiffany turned a lot of heads this year because, again, you look at her and you think she's too pretty. She's not going to be able to do anything really good. But she put a lot of people on notice. She earned some respect this year in her reign, like her or not, and she's primarily a heel, but she earned a lot of respect.
Yeah, she's pretty good. And I wonder if her name Tiffany Stratton, like the that name in particular, I wonder if that was like maybe an homage to like Trish Stratus, the T and the S, Trish Stratus, Tiffany
Maybe, I'm
Stratton.
sure the Tiffany is a nod to Tiffany's, store, the jewelry store, whatever. And
Hmm.
then Straton, probably there's something to connect that to like high society as well. And then Fallon Henley. Fallon, for the longest time, was the manager valet for a tag team called Briggs and Jensen, but they just disbanded a few weeks ago, decided to amicably all go their own way. And Fallon got this opportunity because she's been feuding with Tiffany for a while and is just like, okay, we need to end this. It's ranch hand or servant. The other one's basically got to be slave for a day.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was kind of predictable, mainly because the fact that Tiffany trying to shovel poop out of horse stalls and milk cows is funnier TV than Fallon being a servant to Tiffany.
I have to agree with you. I did feel like it's a little predictable because that would make for great TV. I mean, it would probably remind people. I'm going to show my age here, but I don't know if you're familiar with this. But it would probably remind people of the Simple Life with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. It'll probably remind people of that. That
I
first season
mentioned
was like
that
the
on our watch along coverage. I made that exact same comparison.
yeah. I could definitely see that happening. I mean, the Simple Life, the first season was the best. Just to see them do all those insane job tasks from milking a
I said
cow.
the exact same thing, girl. So,
That's gonna be Tiffany Stratton right there, milking that cow like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie had to do.
see, so maybe you'll want to tune in next week to see that footage.
Or I could just, find the clip and watch it. So we get Bond, Breaker, and Baron Corbin here. I don't know where their story is, but apparently, Baron Corbin thinks that they'll make a great tag team because they're both assholes here, and they're gonna enter in the Dusty Classic. So fill in a little bit as to how this came to be or something.
This is just one of those, you hear about them sometimes in wrestling, the strange bedfellows type of pairings
Yeah,
where they just randomly pull two people and see if they can coexist.
yeah.
That's kind of what this is here. Baron Corbin made a very valid point to Bron. It's like nobody else is knocking down your door, dude. Like you haven't really been on a winning streak since you lost the title to Camello at Stand and Deliver.
Hmm.
You've had a couple of victories here, a couple of victories there, but nothing major. If we get together, they could dominate the competition with Corbin's experience and Braun's strength, and they could just decimate everybody that stands in their way and have a decent run as the NXT Tag Team Champions.
So I don't know if you were watching NXT at this time. I mean, maybe Noah probably knows about this, but is this going to be like when they paired up Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, and they became the Broserweights, and they were just like
Probably,
hilarious together?
probably something like that. Yeah.
All right. So we get like a segment with Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan. Is there like a story brewing between them because they already set up a match? So is this like their first interaction? Have they had an interaction before, or
They've just kind of been butting heads ever since Cora came back. Cora turned heel about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Her and Roxy won the tag titles for the women's division, and the very next week she turned on Roxy.
yeah? I
Um,
think I saw that.
so she's been kind of called the resident mean girl of NXT. You think about the movie Mean Girls.
Does she wear pink
Gigi's
on
just been
Wednesdays?
right. Gigi, on the other hand, has just kind of been this conscience of the women's locker room kind of thing. Like like Roxanne, is kind of tired of being pushed around. So when Cora came back a couple weeks ago, she just kind of started throwing her weight around the women's locker room. Somebody had taken over her locker, so Cora grabbed their stuff and threw it on the floor to reclaim her locker, type of thing. And Gigi's not going to stand for it. It's basically all that is.
Oh, okay, okay, that makes sense. See, again, I'm so glad I have you on this show because I wouldn't know how to explain or fill in all these gaps here.
That's what I'm here for. That's why they say this is my NXT.
Yeah, I could see it's your NXT.
Just like Thursdays is your Impact. This is my NXT.
Yep. Well, TNA going forward.
It's still the show is still going to be called Impact though.
Yeah, yeah, Impact. So we get a Rich Holland injury, and I actually kind of like this because like they were touching on his like various injuries, like when he got injured in War Games 2020, which I didn't see, or how he got that broken nose at last year's not last year's 2 years ago's a day one and stuff like that. So I really like the fact that they brought this up, and he's talking about how he's not someone who intentionally hurt someone, but if you remember, like when he broke Big E's neck, like everybody came after him. And he says that he's back in NXT to prove himself and show everybody who Ridge Holland truly is, and he wants to find redemption. So I actually really dug this.
Yeah, it was good. I actually watched it back because I wanted to pay close attention to how they were setting the story up, and it seemed like they were focused more on the injuries and setbacks that occurred to him as opposed to the injuries that he has caused other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't really touch on the Big E thing. They didn't really talk about him injuring Elton Prince,
Mm-hmm.
which led to the whole Elton Prince in a wheelchair thing.
Even though he broke his arm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Roderick Strong has a neck injury and was still in a wheelchair, so it's like same type of shtick.
Yeah.
And then here's the Ilya Dragunov thing. It's like I thought they were gonna go more down that road.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the injuries to himself because those were before I really started to come back and watch full time. Especially 2020 NXT. I might have known about the day one 2022, but I don't recall it. But I just feel like they made it more about him than about what he's done to people, and I don't know if that was the right way to go.
I have to agree with you because like they totally did not talk about the injuries that he's caused. It was just all about him. I don't know if that was intentional or if it's gonna set up like like he's a victim or something here.
Yeah, see,
But
I don't know if you know much about old ECW, but I expected them to go the Chris Benoit route. And I know that's a taboo name. I don't know how you feel about the subject, but there was a match in ECW, Chris Benoit versus Sabu. And very early in the match, Benoit accidentally dropped Sabu on his neck and broke Sabu's neck.
oh, I heard about that.
And that's how the Crippler moniker became a thing for Benoit, which stuck with him so long, the Crippler Chris Benoit. That's why he had that nickname. I thought they were maybe going to go down a path similar to that with Ridge Holland, where these may have been accidental injuries, but let's turn it into something. Let's turn it into a gimmick here. The Crippler Ridge Holland, some kind of play off of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I could see where you're going with that. They probably didn't want to do it, but who knows? Maybe they will go that route. We just gotta wait out the storyline. But I actually really dug this. So we get the NXT Men's Breakout Tournament Finals. It's Oba Femi. Did I say that correctly? Versus Riley Osborne. So again, my first time seeing these two guys. I don't know anything about them. I dug the match. Oba Femi, like he's I don't want to say he's one of those like big muscular guys that can't go because he could go. Like he could go. And so could Riley Osborne. Oba Femi won here. Again, like I said, I don't know much about him, so I'm assuming that this was the direction they wanted to go in, storyline wise. So I just from what I know about Ilya Dragunov, him versus Oba Femi would probably be a really good match.
I agree. I think Ilya versus either one of them would be a good match. Ilya's kind of been treading neutral water, not really a face, not really a heel. He's been going to another level of intensity when needed, which some people would consider heelish, but he's technically still a good guy. So I think that's why they went with Obafemi, because Obafemi would be very easy to build as a big bad heel. To me, Obafemi reminds me a lot of Big E when he first came in the company. and was kind of like with Dolph Ziggler and AJ and all that. And he was just like this big jacked dude that could go, but he hadn't really found his true potential yet. Like you just got to polish that diamond up a little bit before he can really start to shine and sparkle. That's Obafemi right now to me. Like he's got that same potential. And you think about where Big E went once he broke off from them and, started the New Day, mid card champion, WWE champion, I could see the same potential for Obafemi down the road once he really starts to hit his stride.
I forgot I was muted. I totally agree. I could see that. I definitely see them going that route with Oba Femi. Very curious to see where he is a year from now.
Definitely. I don't know if there's an expiration on those breakout contracts too. I don't know if it's like Money in the Bank where it's only good until the next year. Never really seen it last that long because the championships and everything, they usually get cashed in pretty quickly there.
Oh, okay. So we get like a quick interview with Kiana James and Izzy Dame.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's her name. They seem like an interesting pairing here. Kiana says that she sees money, and in the business you either have money or you have friends. So how I know they kind of spoke a little bit about it, but how did this come to be?
This is another one of those rookie mentor type of situations. Izzy Dame was in the women's breakout tournament. Obviously, she didn't win because Lola Vice won. But just kind of one of those things where ever since she lost that, she's kind of paired up with Kiana to kind of stay relevant, stay on TV, kind of like how Lola is paired with Elektra. Just try to keep them prominent and relevant. Some people need someone to be paired up with, some people don't.
Yeah.
Kaylani Jordan, who was in the tournament, she wasn't on the show this week, but she was in the tournament. She hasn't really been paired up with anybody. They see enough potential in her that they don't have to give her a mentor type of figure, but these two apparently they feel need one.
Okay. So that's kind of interesting that they do that. A mentor and it's like the old roots of NXT where they got the mentor and the pro and
Yeah.
the rookie. Kind
I
of
mean,
taking it
it
back.
makes sense. Elektra Lopez has been around for a minute. She was originally part of Legado del Fantasma, who of course got called up and was the LWO, Cruz, Joaquin, Santos, and everything. They just replaced her role with Zelina Vega up on the main roster, and she stayed in NXT. Kiana, same thing, has been around for a year or so, has had moderate success. So giving them somebody to kind of mentor. Maybe they're starting to see main roster in these girls. So kind of have somebody to cultivate before they leave.
Okay. And I wonder if like Electra Lopez, okay, yeah, I said her name correctly. Electra Lopez will like eventually rejoin Legado del Fantasma once that whole rivalry with Rey Mysterio gets settled.
It's definitely possible. A week or so ago, they did a backstage segment where Cruz and Joaquin were kind of catching up with Elektra, and Lola was standing there and kind of seemed put off by the fact that she wasn't the focus since she's the breakout winner. So I definitely see a possibility of Elektra getting called up, and if rumors are to be believed about Andrade El Idolo's contract and the fact that, Zelina could end up pairing back up with him, that leaves the female slot open for Elektra Lopez to come back.
Yeah, but she'll probably be with Santos, Angel Garza, and Humberto Carrillo, their version of that LWO.
Maybe.
But I honestly feel like they're stalling until Rey Mysterio gets back. Like once Rey Mysterio gets back, they're gonna go full on the feud.
Agree.
Sis,
I
man, the
see.
Latina. Walter says, "Man, the Latina comes out of you when you say the Hispanic names." Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely see Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar as a Mania match.
I see that too. It's gonna be. I think. Well, yeah. I think it'll be a passing of the torch. If that happens,
Mm-hmm.
Santos Escobar has to go over. Rey
Agreed.
Mysterio. Look, don't get me wrong. I like Rey Mysterio. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. I met Rey Mysterio, but
Me too.
he would need to put Santos Escobar over.
Rey
So,
Mysterio was one of the first wrestlers I met at the Long Beach Arena during a WCW show. He came out after the show. His wife Angie was front row with like 3-year-old Dominic.
oh wow.
Unmasked Rey Mysterio.
I met him at SummerSlam Max's in 2013. So that was really cool. But I definitely do agree. That is a WrestleMania match. Should have happened. I can understand why they did a Dominic versus Rey Mysterio in Hollywood. I mean, San Diego is like 4 hours from here. So,
and Philly is the city of brotherly love. So, you figure they were supposed to be like brothers. They were supposed to be like mentors, and
yeah,
the LWO. So it plays perfectly.
it does. Never met Rey, but would love to. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
So
So
we
is
had a
Dominic,
couple.
if we're being honest. I met Dominic outside of SmackDown in Ontario.
Ooh,
Didn't
Ontario.
actually go inside, just went to try and meet people.
Mm,
But Dominic came over and took pictures with everybody. This was before, obviously, he turned heel on his dad.
yeah.
But he had done a cricket appearance and then came and took pictures and signed autographs for a ton of fans. You could see that his dad really did raise him right, and that the gimmicks played on TV are bullshit.
Yeah. You went all the way to Ontario?
I used to live in Rancho Cucamonga, which was Ontario was like 10 minutes away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Ontario's a little far from me. So we get a couple of backstage segments with like Chase U, which we talked about, Lyra and that other girl. And then like the tag team champions and stuff. Like I feel like all these segments kind of like happened so quick. I didn't have time to like dissect them all, digest them all because there was like what one went. I was like, whoa, okay, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were just trying to like fill time before getting to the main event. But yeah, we had like a video package of OTM out the mud.
Is that Reggie? Was that Reggie?
Yes, Scripts was Reggie. Lucian Price and Bronco Nima, or as Noah likes to call them, GTA 6 reject characters.
Okay.
They're a good young tag team. I mean, they definitely have some work to do, but they definitely give off kind of like a Crime Time vibe.
Yeah.
In their appearance. And then we had like Nathan Frazier and Axiom come together, two friends that have feuded with each other out of respect, coming together to team up for the Dusty Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some good stuff there.
Yeah, but like I said, I just let things breathe. It almost like
Yeah. You know
so
what?
fast.
AEW does that sometimes
Yeah,
too.
they do.
They'll go
AEW.
like segment to segment. It's like, Jesus Christ, y'all, can you go to like a 10-minute match? I need to try and take my notes here.
Yeah, right? It's like, oh God, okay. It's like,
Because like I can just hear to the match and know what's happening. I don't have to focus on it while I write my notes, but the segments I have to focus on, like,
yeah,
because
I
that's
feel
how
you
you
there.
know a commentator is good. If you can hear them call the action and not have to see it, you know that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree. So the main event was a battle of the Iron Survivors match. It was Grayson Waller versus Trick Williams. Now, they said that Grayson Waller was the first winner of the Iron Survivors match, and Trick Williams
Yes.
is the most recent winner, I believe.
Yes. When they did NXT Deadline in 2022 and they debuted the Iron Survivor match, Grayson Waller won that one, and then Trick won it this year, 2023. Basically, it's a 25-minute match 5 people involved. Whoever gets the most pinfalls wins. Once a pinfall or submission has been obtained, the person who got pinned or submitted has to go to a penalty box for 2 minutes and is completely taken out of the match.
Oh shit. Okay.
And basically Trick came in, I want to say either third or fourth, and he kept getting pinned. Like people kept trying to eliminate him from the match because the massive push he's been getting lately. But finally, with like 3 or 4 minutes left to go in the match, he came out of the penalty box and he just boom, 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 pinned everybody. So he went up 4 pins, and then the time ran out and he ended up being on top.
Oh, okay.
It was a hell of a comeback.
Walter says last 3 minutes were all his. Trick had
Mhm.
a hell of a combat. Okay. Sounds like a great match.
It was. You ought to check it out.
We'll see.
NXT Deadline 2023, available on the Peacock app.
I have Peacock. I want to use it to watch the PLEs. So I thought this was a really good main event. Now, when they said a former NXT champion was gonna be there, I kind of thought like, okay, maybe Andrade. But then I was like, what does Andrade have to do with this? And then I kind of tried to come to me. Oh, okay, it was gonna be Kevin Owens, and he punched Grayson Waller. But interesting thing, like how you mentioned that there's kind of like a dissension between Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Like Carmelo Hayes came out there. It seemed like, I don't know if he did it intentionally, but it seemed like he was distracting Trick Williams here for a second. Kind of like he was gonna cost him that title opportunity. But if it wasn't for Kevin Owens, like that probably would have happened. While you're at it, check out Casa de 18 Studios. Call the PLEs in the archives.
Thank you, Walter, for the shameless chill there.
Yes, Casa de 18.
But yeah, so it definitely looked like Mello was trying to cause Trick the match there. Like there's so much speculation about Mello having been the guy that attacked him. And the more and more the weeks go on, the more and more it becomes obvious. You know, I'm hoping for a swerve here, but I'm assuming it's going to be, you know, Adam Cole is the devil booking at this point, and we're just waiting for the big reveal, even though we already kind of see it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point where I thought maybe Trick faked the attack on himself to try to get Mello blamed for it because of how he was always in Mello's shadow.
Wasn't that kind of similar what they did with Big Cass and Enzo Amore?
That would have been before my time, so I'm not
Oh.
really sure.
Oh, okay.
Before
Sorry.
my comeback.
Okay.
Because by the time I came back, Enzo and Big Cass were gone.
Oh, okay. So like I said, I thought this was a really great main event. That storyline with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, as you describe it, kind of, you know, sounds intriguing. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And
So
I agree with your take on the NXT champion too. Like, for some reason, when I heard that there was going to be a mystery of fill-in for Dragon Lee, like I immediately thought Andrade. And then when it was Carlito, I was like, okay, they announced a former NXT champion. Maybe that's going to be Andrade. Like, I was on the same frequency as you. And then I was like, wait a minute. Kevin Owens, Waller in Theory. Owens was in the ring, you know, kind of gave Mello props after the US title match that he had. So here's KO coming to help Trick. Like, it just all kind of worked, you know, to the storyline there.
Walter says, yeah, that's what happened with Cass. He faked his own attack. Thanks for reminding me, Walter. Yeah, because I knew that sounded familiar. I was like, that sounds familiar.
Like, I could almost see now a SmackDown match where KO and Trick take on Waller and Theory. Like, I could see them maybe doing something like that. Maybe not this week for New Year's Revolution because of the finals, but maybe the next week.
I could say that too. I definitely could. So overall, again, like I said at the beginning, and I'll say every single time, I don't watch NXT. And for this, I actually really enjoyed tonight's PLE. Now, I missed the East Coast airing, so I had to catch it on tape delay on the West Coast time. But overall, I thought it was a really great show. There wasn't really much that I disliked about it. I did kind of dislike those little segments that, all it was like back-to-back segments that went too fast. That was like the one little thing I disliked. But overall, it wasn't bad. I was a little confused. I was looking at this like what's going on? Like what?
Exactly.
But that's I don't put that blame on the show. It's for me, that's on me. So if
it
I
would
had
be
to,
like walking into the Avengers saga, the MCU, and you're coming in at like Infinity War.
oh, actually that was
And
me
you
too.
haven't seen anything else that led up to it. And you're just coming in like the final chapters. It's like, wait, what's going on? What? Huh? Who's this
Actually,
purple guy? Like,
fun fact, that was actually me. I didn't see Endgame. I didn't see part 1. I saw part 2. I saw Black Panther. I still haven't seen
so you understand my analogy then.
Yes.
It's very much a similar thing, or like uh, you're walking into the Star Wars saga and you come in at like Return of the Jedi. And you're like, wait a minute, this bad guy is the hero's father? What the hell? What am I missing here? Kissed your sister? Ew. Like there's no context
Yeah.
whatsoever until you go back and you watch everything unfold. It's like, okay, it makes sense now.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen the Star
That's
Wars saga, so I wasn't confused about that one.
that's what happened here. You don't watch NXT, but whenever you watch the first episode of something that's a weekly episodic show, you're always going to be a little lost. But you tune in the following week and the following week, and then everything kind of starts to fall into
It
place.
slowly starts to make sense.
Exactly, which is why I'm trying to get you to tune in more. You tuned into the TV special today. Thank you. I do appreciate that. You said that you're going to try to tune into the PLEs. So you got Vengeance Day on February 4th, which we will be covering across the multiverse of media. And then there will probably be a TV special in March before Stand and Deliver in April. So, I figure if you tune in at least for those once a month, when you get to the PLEs, you're not so confused. Because the TV specials are kind of like the launching pad to the PLEs.
Okay. Okay.
Makes sense. It's like the AEW, their TV specials are kind of the launching pad to their pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So on a scale from 1 to a Sean Spears perfect 10, I'd give this a 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, the only thing that kind of ruined it for me was those segments towards the very end where it was like let me breathe here for a second.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, I think I would give this a Sean Spears perfect 10. But unfortunately,
Wow.
it's a 9.5. I actually really enjoyed the show. I did.
You're on the verge of a Sean Spears perfect 10, but you can't watch it every week.
I already watch. I'm not Noah here, okay?
I'm just putting you on the spot here to your fans because I know your fans that are in the chat room and that are going to go back and watch it on demand are like, wait a minute, you don't watch NXT. You watched this episode. You enjoyed it. You give it a 9.5 out of 10. And you're not going to tune in next week? See what happens for the fallout of this?
No. Maybe.
If
I
the
just
fans of Rangers of Wrestling want to see Datila watch and review NXT more often, I want to see some views on this video. This video needs to get some major views.
this video would have to get over, let me see. A near 10% that doesn't watch it come to the dark side. It's funny. I actually like the dark side. I like Darth Vader.
Me too. The villains are always the coolest ones.
Yeah.
But I kind of joked with Jeff privately. I was like, watch, if this video gets enough views, she might be convinced to start watching more often because she realizes she's getting clicks on this.
Well, that happens. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be watching Collision on Saturdays because
That's fair.
it's
Well, I
like
mean, half the time there's a pay-per-view or a PLE on Saturday anyway, so it's like Collision seems like it's easy to miss, or Rampage.
I watch Rampage, but I don't review a Rampage anymore. But yeah, like I said, it's a good show. I did enjoy it. I don't know if I'll watch the weekly show, but that's a different story. But as we get ready to sign off, JJ, where can people find you and what do you have coming up?
Well, I do my own review show for the love of wrestling every Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. Usually do it that way because it's super late at night right now, obviously. My girlfriend goes to bed early because she has to be up at like 3 a.m. and I try not to keep her up. But she was like sound enough asleep. I was like, okay, I can squeeze this in and help you out since you were willing to do it and talk about my NXT. I can squeeze this in and help you. But yeah. Mondays I usually do the weekend shows, Collision, Rampage, SmackDown. Tuesday I do Raw, Wednesday is NXT, and Thursday is Dynamite. I am going to give Impact, TNA Impact, a watch. The first Impact after Hard to Kill. If I connect with it, if I have a response like you did to NXT tonight, then I will start reviewing that on Fridays, and Monday through Friday will be reviews. So I already have my little generic graphic made up just in case.
Oh, like I did.
That I have to create a stream for it, you know.
But I'll help you with Impact since you helped me with tonight with NXT. I'll help you for that post show for the fallout for Hard to Kill.
That would be awesome, you know, especially since you're going to be there for those tapings. You'll be there for Hard to Kill and you'll be there the next day for the TV taping. So you will have experienced it firsthand.
Yeah.
And can bring that, you know, what was the crowd like type of feel to it.
I'm so excited. I am so happy. I changed my mind, decided to go to the tapings. I'm going to see El Hijo del Vaquino, Okada, and Will Ospreay wrestle. Oh my God, that's so awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. I know it was such odd to go live on a Tuesday, but please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow after AEW Dynamite. Bye.